Every year in early March, thousands of cross-country skiers from around the world descend on Engadin, one of Switzerland's most picturesque high alpine valleys, to take part in the Engadin Skimarathon, one of the biggest sporting events in Switzerland. The Engadin Skimarathon has been around since 1969. It's been a success story right from the start, and this year we have almost 13,000 participants that have registered. They come from over 60 different countries, so pretty much from all over the world, to take part in the world's second biggest cross-country skiing event. The Engadin Skimarathon covers 42 kilometres through all of the communities here. I think it's the one event where we can really present ourselves and show how sensational our high valley is. But the Engadin is a year-round destination. In winter we have sensational skiing and snowboarding. What makes our valley stand out though are the lakes, where you can enjoy sailing, surfing, kite surfing and all sorts of other sports. In cross-country skiing, the Engadin Skimarathon is, together with the Valserlauf, the equivalent to the big marathon races in running like the Berlin or New York marathons. On one hand, it's the scenery that makes it so nice, but also the topography of the course, which isn't too hard and also enables cross-country skiers who aren't so well trained to race here. At the same time though, you're on the start line with Olympic and world champions. I think the combination of elite sport, adventure and scenery is what makes the Engadin Skimarathon so special. With four-time Olympic champion and four-time winner of the Engadin Skimarathon, Dario Cologna, we of course have a real celebrity starting here. We have Justyna Kowalczyk, a double Olympic and world champion, and in the women's race of course there's Therese Johaug, who really is the cross-country skiing superstar. But we also have a lot of really good up-and-coming athletes. We have some from Switzerland, from the Swiss ski men's team, and some very strong French skiers. And it's always a good mix of the top stars and the amateur athletes. The first race of the Engadin Skimarathon week is the women's race, where the field will tackle a 17-kilometre scenic course. Before the start in Samadan, all eyes are on four-time Olympic champion Therese Johaug of Norway, who's competing for the first time in 2 years after maternity leave.
I think I will be really nervous because it's 2 years since I have competing. And I think maybe, you know, the head think that you are in the same shape as you was for 2 years ago.
Amongst the hundreds of women are some who also use the Engadin women's race to raise awareness and money for charity. I raise for Masha Rosa, which is Pink Ribbon, and it's about breast cancer prevention, and the pink bear was kind of an obvious costume. There are only women doing this race, and I think it's going to be a really cool atmosphere. It'll be fun to take part. As the start gun goes, almost 1,000 female skiers set off for the first race of the Engadin Skimarathon week. Right from the start, the Norwegian superstar Therese Johaug sets the pace, and despite having a 2-year hiatus from competition, the 14-time world champion is in a league of her own. In the chasing pack, Justyna Kowalczyk of Poland and Switzerland's biathlon Olympic silver medalist Selina Gasparin show their cross-country credentials, and they give it their all to try and keep the distance to Johaug as small as possible. Whilst Therese Johaug is racing on her own at the front of the pack, there are hundreds of women behind her who are enjoying their time together on the course during the 23rd Engadin women's race. They soak up the crowd support and the stunning Engadin landscape. It's a joyful occasion, and for most of these cross-country enthusiasts, the fun is more important than the race times and podium positions. Back at the front, Therese Johaug still dominates the race, with the same group of 7 women in pursuit. Amongst them, Switzerland's biathlon star and Engadin native, Selina Gasparin. After a dominant race, 14-time world and 4-time Olympic champion Johaug crosses the finish line in S-chanf with a huge gap on the rest of the field and clearly enjoying her comeback.
It was really fun to have the racing beep on again and have the feeling when you push yourself in the trucks and people are cheering for me out there, so it was a fantastic feeling again.
In second place, another former Olympic champion, Justyna Kowalczyk of Poland. And also happy with her race, but more so with the return to her native Engadin, biathlete Selina Gasparin. Yes, of course, it's my home. I know everything here. I've trained here a lot, and I would not have just run any old race, so yeah, this is a real homecoming. Due to heavy snowfall followed by warm temperatures, both the Silsa and Silvaplana lakes can't be prepared in time for the 2024 Engadina race. So this year's start is moved to Silvaplana, another logistical challenge that Menduri Kasper and his team have to deal with. Yes, it's big and a very complex undertaking. We have around 1,000 volunteers that work here, and all of them need information on when and where they need to be places. We have aid stations on the course, and we need around 20,000 litres of warm water for the participants on race morning. Then we have to organise the transport for all of the participants to the start line. We have more than 64 buses that we've collected from all over Switzerland, and they're just to drive the people to the start. We also have more than 40 military trucks that transport the participants' clothes from the start to the finish. As the big race day approaches, more and more competitors arrive in the marathon village in Pontresina to pick up their start numbers for the 54th edition of the Engadin Skimarathon. Among the thousands of amateur skiers from around the world is British life coach Poppy Cross, who's taking part in the Engadin Skimarathon for the very first time.
A friend of mine actually did it a couple of years ago and said it was one of the best things he had ever done. And I love the mountains, I love a challenge, so I thought, why not? I've done downhill for years and years, and I thought the skating technique for the cross-country skiing, it wouldn't be too hard, but turns out it's quite technical. It's quite a challenge, but I'm excited.
Swiss friends Michael Ackermann and Cyril Bolliger from Bern are equally excited to take part in the Engadina. And for them, this legendary race encapsulates everything they like about cross-country skiing. You go to places where you normally wouldn't go. You can enjoy nature, you can tire yourself out, and at the end of the day when you get home, you're knackered, but it's a healthy tiredness, and it's the best thing you can do for your body. The two friends clearly enjoy the offerings in the marathon village, and they're happy that the modern state-of-the-art character of cross-country skiing is reflected here in Pontresina. Yeah, cross-country skiing is sometimes looked upon as boring and old-fashioned, but here you don't feel that at all. It really is a cool sport. Also back in the marathon village is Françoise Stahl, aka Madame Engadin Skimarathon. She is the only woman to have completed all Engadina races and clearly remembers her first one 55 years ago. I had good stamina, but no technique. But I still made it to the finish without any problems, and I got third in the women's race. It went so much better in my second marathon, and in 1972 I got second in the Engadin Skimarathon. Every year, the 86-year-old has got a stall in the marathon village where she sells her book, Der Langlauf von Madame Engadin Skimarathon. It covers 50 Engadin Skimarathons, and of course it's also an autobiography. There were just so many great marathons with blue sky and nice warm weather. Once someone asked me, "What are you going to wear on your head for tomorrow's Engadin Skimarathon?" And I just said, "Hairspray." It was just so nice. It's about the fascination of the Engadin Skimarathon. The marathon has always been part of my life. And in winter, you just prepared for the marathon. I mean, every time it's an adventure, and it's particularly nice if you can ski on the lakes. It's such terrific scenery, and it's something special to be one small ant among thousands of other cross-country skiers. The second race highlight of the week is the 6th Engadin night race, where skiers from around the world can experience a unique and magical adventure on the moonlit cross-country trails in and around Sils and Pontresina.
You get to meet people from many different countries, yeah. That's one of the really special things about it, and just the excitement around it.
We agreed that he's going to stay with me, and I'm glad about that.
It's going to be so surreal, like going through the night with a head torch all the way through. It's going to be like an adventure for me.
As the start gun goes, around 800 skiers make their way into the Engadin night to tackle the modified 16-kilometre course that runs for the first time from La Punt through Samadan to Pontresina. For many, this is the adventure of a lifetime. With their head torches on, the cross-country skiers create a magical atmosphere, and supporters and fans cheer them on their way. As the hundreds of cross-country skiers approach the end of the 16-kilometre course, hot refreshments help them to tackle the last few kilometres. Reaching the finish area in first place is 19-year-old Pontresina local Roman Older, who is overjoyed with the victory on his home turf. It's so cool. I'm just so happy. The finish line is just around the corner from my house, and so it's exciting. I actually thought that something might be possible today, and I stayed in the group for a long time, but to win, it's obviously really cool. The women's category is won by an equally delighted Justyna Kowalczyk from Poland.
I'm so happy that I win this race. My ski was working perfect, and I was feel good working with the men's. I'm happy. I think that I will be sleep good today.
The day before the main Engadina race, the marathon village is a hive of activity, and one of the big draws of the day is a lecture with four-time Olympic champion and Swiss cross-country legend Dario Cologna, who has a long-standing connection with the Engadin Skimarathon. I've known the Engadin Skimarathon since I was little. I grew up in Valmester, which is close to here, and that's how I started here for the first time when I was 16. I then managed to win it 4 times and got second twice. My first win was definitely special. That was on my 21st birthday, and it was my first big win internationally. It gave me a lot of confidence, and it was my breakthrough. That's why that victory was so special. The last win was in 2019 and was also special. The Engadina was part of the ski classics, and there was a really strong field and some big Norwegians. From the stars of old onwards, it was only 5 or 6 of us, and it was a really fast race with a small group at the front. That I could win against such strong competition is a very special memory. What also makes the Engadin special is the fact that it's a week-long happening with 15,000 people here all week. You've got a lot of side events, and it's important for the sport of cross-country skiing that we have such a big race here in Switzerland. Another Swiss skier with his own ambitions is the winner of this year's night race, 19-year-old Pontresina local Roman Older, who hopes that his home field advantage will also be the deciding factor for the Engadiner. We always train on the trails of the Engadin Skimarathon. We know the course inside out and have watched the race for decades. We've seen over and over again where the important turns and course parts are, and that's what we train for. Dario Cologna is of course a massive legend, and as a small boy it was always exciting to watch my idol at the Engadin Skimarathon. But now I have races where I compete against Dario Cologna, and that's obviously a lot of fun. I think I particularly like cross-country skiing because you get to know yourself so well. Your body, how far you can push yourself, what your limits are. It's so multifaceted, which you possibly wouldn't experience if you're just looking from the outside. But you definitely do when you take part and experience firsthand the Engadin Skimarathon. It's the morning of the race, and as thousands of cross-country skiers from around the world arrive at the start area in Silvaplana to get themselves ready for the planet's second biggest cross-country ski race, heavy snowfall makes for interesting conditions. As is customary, the elite field with professional skiers will lead the charge onto the slightly shortened new course. And even for the seasoned pros, like four-time Olympic champion Dario Cologna, these weather conditions will be a challenge. Yeah, it's definitely harsher than in previous years because it's icy and the ground is hard. Now, yeah, I slowly start to get nervous. The atmosphere builds up and everyone is here. Soon it all starts. It's race time, and the women's pro field starts the 54th Engadin Skimarathon from the new start location in Silvaplana. Shortly after, it's the turn of the professional men, and straight from the off, the elite skiers with Dario Cologna and Roman Older amongst them set a blistering pace. Fighting for a good position in the early stages is essential, but for now at least, the pack stays together. Soon after, the first amateurs start their Engadin Skimarathon journey. Meanwhile, up at the front of the women's race, France's Flora Dolci is the early pacemaker, and a few kilometres into the race, she's put a bit of distance between herself and the three chasers. In the men's race, Dario Cologna takes an early lead, but Roman Older, a couple of other young Swiss skiers and the rest of the pack stay in touching distance. Soon after, Older moves past his idol into first place. Whilst the professional skiers are already a few kilometres into the changed course, more and more amateurs keep arriving in the busy start area in Silvaplana. Amongst them is also Michael Ackermann, who is in awe of the big crowds. There are so many people, but it's well organised and the people are really friendly. It's great. Poppy Cross is also getting ready for her first Engadina, and wave after wave of new groups embark on their personal Engadin Skimarathon journeys. It's an impressive sight as thousands of cross-country enthusiasts make their way onto the modified 40-kilometre course in these treacherous conditions. Back at the front, a group of three skiers, Flora Dolci, Engadin local Juliana Vera and France's Maëlle Vert, have made a break in the women's field and are charging ahead full steam. The men's race is still wide open, and for now, the young Swiss skier Fabrizio Albassini manages to maintain his blistering speed ahead of his teammate Nicola Vigga and a group of four other skiers, amongst them their compatriot Dario Cologna and three Norwegians. Around the 15-kilometre mark, the 6 leading men catch up with the chasing group of the women's pro race and move past them with ease. At this point, Albacini and Vigor are still leading the charge, but the group of 6 stays tight. Further back in the field around St. Moritz, the pace isn't quite as frantic, and hundreds of amateurs give it their best on their personal Engadin Skimarathon adventures. Despite the heavy snowfall, the support along the course is as strong as ever. And buoyed by the cheering fans, thousands of skiers make their way through the Engadin's picturesque winter wonderland. It's around the 22-kilometre mark in the race, coming off the golf course near Samadan, where the leading 6 men catch up with the top 3 women and spearhead the race from this point on. With Norway's Thomas Bucher Johansen, there is now a new leader at the front of the pack, but this lead group, comprised of 3 Norwegians and 3 Swiss skiers, stays tight. In the women's, Flora Dolci, Juliana Vera and Maëlle Vere still hold their lead. Even in these challenging conditions, the trio have found a steady rhythm. Pushing hard on some of the strenuous hills, 21-year-old Maëlle Vere takes control of the race. The Frenchwoman, alongside Switzerland's Juliana Vera, now leave the early leader Flora Dolci behind. As 24-year-old Dolci struggles to keep up, the French-Swiss duo of Vere and Vera are now in control of the race. Back in the Staatswald, spirits are high with skiers from around the world, despite battling the tough conditions. Cheered on by the crowds, the camaraderie amongst them couldn't be better. And for all of them, this will be an unforgettable experience that will live long in their memories. Up at the front, the lead has changed again, and Norway's Magne Haga is now heading up the group of 6, followed by his countrymen Fjeld Philip Andersen and Thomas Johansen Bucher. Also still in the mix, Switzerland's cross-country legend Dario Cologna and the 2 youngsters Fabrizio Albacini and Nicola Vigor, who have left their teammate Roman Older trailing in their wake. Suddenly, Magne Haga picks up the pace and moves away from the 5 skiers behind him. Has he landed a decisive blow just kilometres from the finish line? Haga keeps up his strong stride as he enters the finish area in S-chanf. His compatriot Thomas Johansen Bucher tries everything to close the gap. But it's not enough, and the 29-year-old Magne Haga wins his first ever Engadin Skimarathon ahead of Thomas Johansen Bucher in second place. Fjeld Philip Andersen completes the Norwegian podium and snatches away third place from Dario Cologna in the final metres.
I felt like it went from 100 to 6 people in just a moment, so that was kind of good for us. And Engadin Marathon is a special race, so it's really fun to have that victory.
After a challenging race, Roman Older also reaches the finish line 9 minutes after the winner in 26th place. In the women's race, France's Maëlle Vere has managed to put a bit of distance between herself and Juliana Vera and Italy's Federica Sanfilippo. The 21-year-old is fighting hard to keep control, and after a long and tiring battle, she manages to maintain her lead all the way to the finish area, where she celebrates her first ever Engadin Skimarathon victory. Last year's winner, Juliana Vera of Switzerland, can't quite repeat her 2023 result, but she crosses the finish line in second place to celebrate her second consecutive Engadin podium. Federica Sanfilippo takes third, but the star of the day is Maëlle Vert. I'm so happy that I've won this race. I really wasn't expecting too much, as there is a big group of girls, some of them big names, so yeah, it's lovely that it's worked out. As the winners celebrate their Engadin Skimarathon victories, more and more amateur cross-country skiers reach the finish line in S-chanf. After more than 4 hours on the 40-kilometre course, a relieved Michael Ackermann also manages to finish his first ever Engadin. Well, I have to say it was hard. The wind, the snow, all of it. I'm really proud. Throughout the afternoon, skier after skier crosses the finish line, and every single one of them celebrates their own personal victory, that of completing the 54th Engadin Skimarathon.